As you get involved in these laws, each one of them brings a specific message. And as you bring your mind in harmony with these laws, your whole life is going to change.
Some of them may be applied to what we can see and touch and experience every day, while others may refer to something that isn't of the physical realm. And some may be in place just to explain certain things that happen around us, while others may be put there specifically to help us better ourselves and reach our full potential.
Have you ever wondered why 1% of our population earns 96% of all the money that's being earned? As we start to understand this, and as we start to dig into these laws, then everything in our life starts to shift.
These laws or principles have been created and passed down from generation to generation in order to free up the minds of those that want to find better explanations for the world around them, and for those that want to find the secret to success and gaining everything they want in life.
This is a phenomenal program that you're a part of. I am so pleased that I have the opportunity to dig into these laws in some depth and share them with you. Make sure you get involved. Set aside the time, and you're going to love it. You're going to receive here will change your life.
There are lots of texts regarding these laws, starting from antiquity and all the way to modern times. So anybody that's interested in finding out and understanding how these laws were created has only to look up these books and start reading. Also, research is a fundamental step in the entire process of understanding and using the laws to your advantage. Some people may have a problem following rules and may think that these laws have been written down in order to constrain them. Quite the opposite. These laws or principles have been created and passed down from generation to generation in order to free up the minds of those that want to find better explanations for the world around them, and for those that want to find the secret to success and gaining everything they want in life. Sure, these aren't a magic wand, but they are the closest people have come to creating one for centuries.
If you think of it as all one mind, then of course that's going to be the way that it's going for. And of course, also the other thing that you can look at with this key is if it is all one mind, everything is happening in right reason and right accord, right? Like whatever is going on, we may not be able to understand it from our perspective, but from the largest mental perspective, it may make perfect sense.
This law, although it may be the simplest one expressed, can be quite difficult to understand. That's because people may have a hard time figuring out how it all works. Firstly, the fundamental principle of this law is that everything, that means that every person's energy is connected to the universe, but also to the energy of all other people on Earth. Also, every action we take influences our energy, and the energy and actions of other people, as well as our future selves. This law is important to understand, because it sets the basics of how people should look at everything that surrounds them. Once somebody has mastered this pattern of thinking, there's nothing he can't manifest and focus his energy on.
The law of vibration, that's the one that decrees everything moves, nothing rests. Now think about this, everything moves. This desk that I'm sitting at is made of wood. We call it wood because of the speed the energy is vibrating at, okay? We call this paper because of the speed it's vibrating at. The same energy that we call paper used to be called wood.
The main goal of this law is to help us realize that everything around us is defined by the frequency that matter vibrates at, and we can influence that frequency by various processes in order to rearrange the structure of the matter an object is made out of. This way, we can create different materials and objects. So technically, we can do that with anything, even matter that isn't necessarily within our reach yet. That's because the energy all around us is the same, and it is all connected.
The law of attraction is a law of the universe. The only thing you can attract to you are the things you're in harmonious vibration with.
Building on the law of vibration, we get the law of attraction. This law states that we can only attract that which we are connected to through our vibration frequency. In popular culture, some may hear that two or more people are vibing, or that the vibe of a group or a person is in a certain way. Some may simply dismiss this as slang for their general behavior, but it is much more than this. That means that their frequencies are in sync, and that they have attracted each other using them. Also, it means that people can instinctively pick up on certain vibrations without having any special prep done. But that doesn't mean that people can't get different things if they want them. The whole idea is to know what you actually want and adjust your vibration accordingly. Also, make sure that what you want to attract is actually what you need. That's because people may sometimes attract what they don't want, just because they have low vibrations.
Because it takes a lot to break away from materialism to get into mentalism. But once you do, then you can go into correspondence. And that's the second, right? This is the second principle of, kind of the 7 Hermetic principles. And correspondence is embodied in the statement, as above, so below.
A lot of people may have heard the expression, as above, so below, mainly because it's so frequently used in prayers in different religions all across the world. In the Christian religion, for instance, it is meant to signify the duality of men, and that the kingdom of heaven should be reflected on earth. But it's much more than a simple catchphrase that people use to invoke the divine or explain that which is not yet seen. It refers to the fact that each individual is a projection of himself, and that he has a correspondent energy somewhere in the vast expanse of the universe. And whatever energy you put out from your end, it will affect your projection on the other end. It is also used sometimes to explain that the world itself is simply a form in which the universe sees itself and tries to rationalize its own existence.
Use law against laws, the higher against the lower, and by the art of alchemy transmute that which is undesirable into that which is worthy. And they give 2 examples. To change your mood or mental state, change your vibration. One may change his mental vibrations by an effort of will in the direction of deliberately fixing the attention upon a more desirable state.
This may be the most action-oriented law of them all. Just like the name says, the law of action refers to the actions one needs to take in order to be able to manifest whatever he desires. The law is a call to literal action. It says that if you want anything, from changing your mental state to using your energy to manifest your success, or anything else, you have to actively work for it. You can't just wait around for your wishes to come true. You have to actively do something in order to make them come true. That's because wishful thinking can only get you this far. And also, the more action you take toward making your dreams and projects a reality, the more the universe will act in your favor.
The law of cause and effect. If you're not happy with what you're getting, you better focus on what you're giving.
Maybe one of the simplest laws out there. The law of cause and effect refers to the fact that you will always get the correspondent of what you're giving. Newton's third law of motion, stating that any action has an opposite and equal reaction, might be the best way to interpret this law for those that need a more practical example. This law applies to everything that a person does in order to obtain anything. So if you're putting out bad energy into the universe, you will most definitely receive bad energy back. The point is that in order to improve the results you're getting, you should first improve the energy you are using. Another important lesson that can be derived from this law is that there is no point in blaming anyone else for the results you're getting. You simply have to focus on improving yourself. Sure, your energy can be influenced by external events or other people, but it's up to you to use your energy efficiently and keep it clean from those that might try to muddy it up.
The law of compensation is based on 3 steps. The amount of money or good you receive is going to be in direct ratio to the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you.
Now, some people may interpret this as the fact that their wants and needs are less important than others, and so they won't be fulfilled. But that's not all there is to it. Everybody's needs are the most important to them. The law simply states that each person will receive what they deserve, and not more. For instance, if you have a project that costs a lot of money to do, but you don't really know how to do it, you will receive an amount of money based on that. Also, if anyone else can do the same project as you, and also knows how to do it better, they might receive a much larger amount. Basically, the law states that you receive exactly what you need in order to fulfill what you want, but only if you know how to do it.
The law of perpetual transmutation. That means energy is always moving into form.
This law is very tightly linked to the creative process. It can be explained as to the reason why painters can create paintings from the ideas they have, or why sculptors can see the shapes of a statue in their mind before actually creating that statue. The energy that creates the idea in someone's mind will, eventually, move into the physical world. That's because energy will always try to manifest itself. And because energy is always transforming and moving at different vibrations and frequencies, that means that it will find a way of representing what the person has thought of at one point.
The law of relativity. Everything's relative. Everything's relative. This room that I'm in is neither big nor small. until I relate it to something else.
Many people associate this law with Albert Einstein. His view of relativity was a much more practical one. He demonstrated that different objects affect the space-time continuum depending on their size. That means that the larger an object is, the more gravity it will exert, and the more influence it will have on the space-time continuum. But that is a theory. The law of relativity refers to roughly the same thing, but with the energy that you put out. That means that the more important something is to you, the more energy you will use to manifest it for you. Also, the more energy you put out, the more the universe will be inclined to act in your favor, because you're generating more energy.
Then you have the law of polarity. Now, the law of polarity decrees that everything has an opposite. There's an inside and an outside. The law of polarity decrees that everything is both bad and good, and yet nothing is either bad nor good.
Pretty much like the law of relativity, the law of polarity decrees that everything is both good and bad. It's all a matter of perception. So what somebody considers harmful or bad or toxic, another person may perceive as the most beautiful and useful thing in the world. It all depends on how you choose to view a certain situation that makes it good or bad. Also, it refers to the choices you make regarding the way you use your energy to manifest anything. That means that you can use either bad energy or good energy until you make the actual decision. This law, correlated with the others before it, are the main tools for manifesting whatever you want.
Then you have the law of rhythm. Well, it's a flow, it's up and down. The law of rhythm affects everything. It's a change of the seasons, the night into day, the day into night, the tide goes out, the tide comes in. See, the law of rhythm impacts everything. You're not always going to be at a high. You'll go into a low. When you go into a low, know that you're going back into a high. That's a flow of life.
Just like everything else, energy has a certain flow through us. Yes, energy itself isn't necessarily affected by anything else. Energy just is. But because we channel it, energy is affected by a lot of things. It's affected by various frequencies, by outside factors, and by the sheer amount of it needed to manifest something. And because we're not made only out of energy, we can't be capable of maintaining the same level of energy all day, every day. That's because the body needs to rest. After periods of sustained effort, we need periods of rest in order to face other obstacles again. Also, we can be influenced by different things over time. Our bodies can deteriorate and not be able to channel the same amount of energy or focus it as well as before. That's why it's important to understand rhythm and how it impacts our lives and energy levels.
Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes.
Many people nowadays may understand through the term gender the biological aspect of sexuality and of role appointing. But this isn't the case. Gender, when it comes to these laws or principles, isn't a reference to something regarding sexuality. It refers to the fact that everything has two sides to it. Similar to the cause and effect law, the gender law says that the feminine and the masculine are equal and balance themselves out. Also, because it manifests on all planes, that means that everything has two sides to it. Think of how any coin from any country has two sides to it. It still has the same function and value. It just has that intrinsic duality to it. Knowing the laws is just part of the entire process. Using them is where it gets really interesting. Firstly, you have to understand that each law has its own importance. You cannot substitute one idea for the other, and you can't choose which ones you respect and use and which ones you don't. They all play an equally important role in helping you achieve your goals. Secondly, these laws are not something you can just use whenever you want to and then store away until the next time you need some help. Manifesting and using your energy towards a goal is a full-time job. That means that respecting these laws takes commitment, so you'd better be sure that you want what these principles have to offer, or else you shouldn't start using them. They're kind of like a diet. You can't just quit because you're not losing weight fast enough or have cheat days or go off it every time it seems to get a little difficult. This is something that has to be done properly for it to work, and it can take a long time for some people. Life and everything about it doesn't just happen. Everything is ruled over by a set of guiding principles that have been confirmed over time as being true. This is why it's important for anyone wanting to have a successful and happy life to understand these principles or laws. After they learn and understand them, they can use them so that they work for them. It's just like learning the rules of a game. It may seem quite boring at first, but your satisfaction when you win using those rules in your favor will be infinitely greater. Another reason why people should learn and use these laws is to finally understand that manifesting your wishes using your energy isn't anything magical. It has nothing to do with luck or with chance. It's all about channeling your energy and projecting it outwards so that the universe can see what you want and give it to you.